Welcome aboard the Azamara Onward cruise ship. Today, Michael and I are setting sail on a unique adventure, a luxury cruise along the breathtaking coastlines of Scotland.
You know, Azamara is famous for their intimate journeys, though they do things that are a lot more immersive into the ports. They stay longer, they go smaller places that you can't get into with the bigger ships, and Scotland's a perfect example of that. We're going to some beautiful places in Scotland with all their history and landscapes and all that, so it's going to be a really big adventure.
Let's get started. Azamara Cruises are renowned for their intimate settings, immersive experiences, and focus on smaller hidden gem destinations. Scotland, with its dramatic landscapes, rich history, and charming towns, is the perfect backdrop for an unforgettable Azamara adventure. Join us as we cruise through Scotland's best ports aboard the luxurious Azamara Onward. We'll tell you exactly what to see in each of the ports, share essential tips, and give you a peek into the luxury small ship experience. Stay with us because we will go in search of Nessie the Loch Ness Monster herself, see how many times we can spot this time machine, discover the secrets of the Stone Sentinels, and explore the beautiful Scottish Highlands. Let's uncover the drama of Scotland, one port at a time. We just stepped off the Azamara Onward and are now officially in Edinburgh, Scotland. We're on a tram right now. It's interesting, Michael and I were saying that it's very seldom that we step into a brand new country that we've never been to before.
Yeah, we're in Scotland for the first time, so this is fun for us. We're in a new country and we're doing it on our own. So we're looking forward to a great day today, and we'll hop around and see what happens.
Let's go.
We just got off the tram from the cruise port and we're now in downtown Edinburgh, and we were lucky enough to get here to St. Andrew's Square, we believe they call it, and we actually happened upon a celebration for the armed forces. So it's really neat because there's a lot of people here, as you can see, and they're doing music, and it's funny, we just heard all these pop songs on the fiddle and with this very Scottish sound. So it's a beautiful place, it's really walkable, and we're having fun exploring down here. It's so different from what I thought it was going to be, and we are loving it.
After we've walked around Edinburgh for a bit and been amazed by how beautiful it is, head up the bit of a steep incline up to Edinburgh Castle to get at least a glimpse of it. You can go inside, but fair warning, you're going to have to get tickets pretty well in advance unless you get a tour like through Get Your Guide or Viator or something. But if you just want to come up and get a glimpse of it, it's beautiful and worth the hike up.
The Azamara ship is docked here in Edinburgh overnight, so we've got plenty of time to explore, but we've still got to choose what we wanted to do. And one of the things that we really wanted to do was see this museum, the National Museum of Scotland. And we're in the Grand Gallery right now, which is really impressive. It was actually shaped over a building that was lost, the Grand Palace, that had a roof just like this one. What's really neat about it is it's got a floor that is full of fossils. So once you start seeing them, you can't stop. We're really enjoying exploring around here, and it's a really great way to kind of get a feel for Scotland, the history, and kind of how they do things here.
Waste another day, eyes on my display. You say we need a change, and I feel that you mean it.
The universe seems to be with us today. The same day that we arrived in Edinburgh happens to be the same day as the annual Edinburgh Pride Parade and Pride Festival. You can see it behind me. There are no grand floats or anything. It's just a lot of people out showing their pride, showing their freedom of expression, showing acceptance. It's a really wonderful atmosphere. What's really interesting is that there's an absence of police and protesters. It's just very fun and an accepting environment. So if you're interested in a great Pride festival, consider coming to Edinburgh, Scotland. We just finished our day in Edinburgh and we couldn't have had a better time. It's an absolutely beautiful city and we could definitely see ourselves spending more time here.
Absolutely. It's a great sized city, and of course it's beautiful. There's tons of history here, of course, but also it's a college town. There's a lot of energy, very walkable, very easy to get around, incredibly clean, and we had a really good day today in terms of the weather. It was also Pride. The Pride March was here while we were here today, so it was a lot of fun walking around town, hitting the museum, and really exploring a great city.
Welcome to our cabin. We're on board the Azamara Onward in cabin 7015. It's a balcony cabin and it's a nice mix of both classic and modern touches. I think we're going to enjoy it. Docking and exploring major Scottish cities such as Edinburgh and Glasgow are great, but it's nice to get off the beaten path a bit and explore smaller cities like where we are today in Dundee, Scotland. It's known for its rich maritime history and its beautiful scenery.
When you're in Dundee, we recommend you try out the McManus Museum where we are now. It's a beautiful building and it was dedicated to Albert, Victoria's husband, who of course had a huge impact on the arts. It's a great building, it's got a great collection, takes about an hour, and it's free to get in.
If you want a real hidden gem while you're in Dundee, then you have to come over here to the Dundee Museum of Transport. It houses a number of artifacts that includes trucks, trams, cars, you name it, and it's also curated by a group of local folks who are just wonderful. And it's actually very close to the cruise terminal, although they will be moving to a place downtown. The real star that they have is a replica of the Chitty Chitty Bang Bang for those older folks who remember that charming movie from many, many decades. But there's a number of other great things to see, and you can sit in some of these antique cars, so give it a try.
We are here today in Stirling Castle, which has been a great trip. It was very easy to get here, and while you come here, you see a lot of the countryside, you see different things from different battles and all the history that you hear about in Scotland. But once you get here, it's a really nice visit. This is a beautiful, beautiful castle that also contains a palace. So castles weren't just military, they were actually royal residences many times. And this has the royal apartments and all these royal buildings. In fact, the gold color behind me was something very special because they painted the royal places this color because it was very expensive and it kind of showed off wealth. This grand hall here is actually bigger than the grand hall in the Edinburgh Castle, and one of the biggest in Scotland and the UK. So you can have a lot of fun here. While you come up here, you'll actually see things that remind you of the movie Braveheart, because it is part of what William Wallace and all that history has to offer. So you'll see that and you'll recognize and hear stories a lot about that. You got to get up to Stirling Castle. It's a great visit, and we're really having a great time today.
I just realized I've built walls a mile high to protect my heart, but now I'm all alone, stuck on the inside. The heart doesn't need a...
The bus took us back to our ship, and we started our evening.
We just got to Spirits Bar here on Azamara Onward, and it's quiet right now because it hasn't opened yet, but it's going to open in a few minutes. But this is a really lively place and a fun place to have a drink. It's also got the future cruise desk here and the shore excursion desk here. So if you're planning on what you're doing on board, or if you're looking for another cruise, everything you need is right here. They've got a piano with a guy that sings every night, or various artists that come in here, and it's a pretty lively place. So it's fun, and we're really enjoying it.
We are in a place that has captured our imagination since childhood. We're in the Scottish Highlands today to visit Loch Ness. Of course, Loch Ness has been made famous by the serpent-like creature that is said to live beneath it. We don't know if that's true or not, but we have faith and we hope to spot her today. Also in the background, you can see Urquhart Castle, a fortress that used to be built here but is now left in ruins. Let's go explore.
We're here at Loch Ness, and we are running around the remains of the Urquhart Castle, which of course is the castle here right on the lake that goes back over 1,000 years. It's really neat because, like I said, you can climb all over this thing and get some amazing views. And as you look at the water, it's got some really crazy ripples in it, so you can absolutely understand how the folklore about the monster came about. We've seen several things in the water that we swore were something underneath that. So when you get out here, you get a beautiful view of the Highlands on the way, and then once you're here, it's just really peaceful, and you see all the history, and it's really a lot of fun. We landed way up in Scotland in the Orkney Islands, and we're here today kind of running around and exploring, and we found a crafts market where we bought a Christmas ornament. That's one of the things that we do in our travels. We try to find a Christmas ornament or something light like this that's unique and usually handcrafted. We found this today, and it's our first stop of many as we explore here today. So having a good time, and it's very, very Scottish. We're here in Kirkwall, and when you visit, you've got to come to the St. Magnus Cathedral behind me. It dates back to 1137. We got to go inside, and it's a beautiful building. Of course, it's very old, and you can see all kind of neat things in there. It's a typical church like you see over here in England and the UK and Scotland, but it's also got tons of people buried in there, and they go way back, just like the building does. So when you come here, we really recommend you get in. Of course, it's free. You can make a donation if you want, and it's a lot of fun to explore.
One of the things you have to do while you're in Kirkwall is tour the Bishop and Earl's palaces. Now, they're old ruins that are hundreds of years old, but they're still in pretty good shape, and you can go in and out of rooms and through towers. It's really fascinating. It's quite the adventure. But also, you have the best views of the entire city of Kirkwall from here, including the cathedral behind me.
Took a swing at a wrecking ball and I prayed for my downfall, and I found a way to reconcile, 'cause in my heart it's not worthwhile. It's a bloody battlefield where some go down, others heal. In the end it's all the same. All you can do is play the game. Oh, do we say goodbye? Refuse to question why. I deserve to say I'm sorry, so lie. Pretend that you're okay. Swear that you will stay. Keep trying for one day.
We are big coffee fans, and we love also just kind of relaxing at times. So every morning we come to the Mosaic Cafe here on the Azamara ship. And today we're here in the afternoon after a long day in the city. But what's cool about the ship is the team gets to know you, and it's a relatively small ship. There's less than 700 people on board. So they know your order, they know what kind of coffee you want, they know what you want with it, and they just bring it to you. So it's really fun to kind of come here, get to know folks, and just relax a little bit. It's right in the center of the ship. There's some great chairs, and you can just kind of kick back and enjoy a cup of coffee, maybe too many times a day, but it's a lot of fun to be here.
I wish I could leave my skin behind in this old rented room, float my way across.
We've been anticipating this moment. We are docking in Stornoway and taking an excursion to one of the most iconic sites in the region, an ancient stone circle. These mysterious structures have captured our imaginations for centuries, thanks to popular culture like the television series Outlander.
It's colder here than anyone told me.
We are here on a very Scottish day with rain and a little bit of wind, or a lot of wind, at the standing stones of Calanais. And this is really cool. We've heard the history of it, and let me tell you, it's older than Stonehenge, and it is really cool to see this. And it's funny, you can walk around. We've been to Stonehenge, and you can't get this kind of access there, but we are right in the middle of it. And this is quite the experience. Very cool.
Great divine. In her, if only in my mind I am somewhere across that great divide.
After our awe-inspiring visit to the Standing Stones, we headed to the Blackhouse Museum. These traditional dwellings, with their thick stone walls and thatched roofs, offered a fascinating glimpse into how the Scots lived in the distant past.
We're inside a Blackhouse here in Scotland, and it's similar to Viking longhouses. It's originally had no windows. There was just an open fire. This one's been modernized, and it was exactly as it was left in the 1970s when the last inhabitants left. Really interesting to see how they lived and hear about the history.
Today we're headed to famous Glasgow, Scotland, and we're really looking forward to it. But Glasgow is an inland city, and we've docked here at Greenock on the coast. So we're going to take a quick 30-40 minute train ride into the city.
Let me feel some hot dear. Blindness hidden in this.
If you get to Glasgow via the train, you'll come into Glasgow Central, which is the main train terminal. If you come right down from there after you exit, you'll come to Buchanan Street, which is where we are right now. It's their kind of pedestrian shopping area with a lot going on. There's music, there's bars and restaurants, and people walking everywhere, plenty to see and do. But there's also a TARDIS. So if you come here, you'll see a TARDIS right here in the street, and we got a few pics there, and it's really cool.
Near the center of town is George Square, named after King George III. It has a number of statues celebrating important events in Scottish history, as well as important Scottish men and women.
Soon I've been on left to blame.
It's a little bit from the city center, but what you see behind me is the Glasgow Cathedral. It's dedicated to Saint Mungo, who's buried in a tomb underneath. While it's a beautiful building, what makes it particularly interesting is that it started its life as a Catholic cathedral, but it's one of the few churches to have survived the Protestant Reformation.
Humble hands shake low, still don't we grow. Humble hands shake low, still don't we grow. Humble hands shake low.
Our last stop in Glasgow is actually my favorite. It's the Glasgow Cemetery. It's a Victorian-era cemetery that contains the remains of various very prominent Glaswegians, as they're called. But my favorite part is actually the view from here. Take a look at this. The Glasgow Cathedral and downtown. We've got even more cruise adventures for you, so click here.